long. Well, it's sort of interesting because it's a movie that I thought, oh, it got nominated, so I want to see it. Then I saw the trailer, and it's like, I don't want to watch this movie.
We're back.
Guess what movie we're doing? Okay, so we're back, and now is you,
George.
George.
Me, my movie is called EO, and let's watch a trailer.
And I think it goes something like this.
Yeah, it goes something like this.
Niech się spełniają twoje wszystkie marzenia. Jo!
No cholera, nie strasz go, przecież to tylko osioł, no.
Vuoi venire a casa con me?
Basta, per favore, basta!
So, anyways, I'm trying to go back to the credits. So, EO. EO is hey, it's black and white. It's a drama, they call it road movie, okay. Directed by Jerzy Skolimowski. And how old is he? He said, what is it, 90?
He's 84
84, okay.
right now, yeah.
So, basically, this movie is like he was a donkey working for a Polish circus, performing with Cassandra. I assume that's his trainer, Cassandra. When animal rights activists help to get the circus shut down, Io, the donkey, gets taken away and brought to a horse stable to work after knocking over a shelf of trophies because two other horses are going nuts. And he's like, I'm out of here. Io is sent to a farm where he seems depressed and won't eat. One night, Cassandra visits him, and she rides with her boyfriend on a motorcycle, and she brings him a carrot muffin for his birthday. So my imagine is probably maybe a year later or something like close to it. So, of course, then she tells him, "May all your dreams come true." Then she leaves. Of course, when she's leaving, you hear, she's not happy, really sad. So then he breaks the fence and goes after her, like he's gonna go look for her, and that's kind of what sets up the movie. Where now EO gets lost, and then we see him getting involved in all the things that he gets to. I think that the movie is very emotional. For me, he's wandering from place to place looking for Cassandra, and he's stumbling. He kind of stumbles in all kinds of scenarios that show human behaviors. Human behaviors to animals and to each other. The movie really shows, that how humans are how humans are arrogant and have very, very little disregard for animals, towards animals. But the movie, because you see, and also he sees a lot of treatment of animals. Like it's one scene, he sees when he escapes, he goes to this place where there's hunters, and he sees they're hunting wolves, and he sees a dying wolf. Like literally, he just stops and staring down at a dying wolf, looking back. There's another scene where he sees he ends up in this other place where the guys are killing foxes for their fur, and he kind of seeing that. And then this one other scene that I thought was interesting, where he's looking at fishes in a tank. That's the first time he is in the city. He's like, yeah. And I'm telling Susie, maybe he's upset that they're trapped. Why are you free? Why are you in the river? And why are you being trapped? So to me, the movie made a lot of points about animals and how they're treated by humans. the cinematography was amazing. The shots. I know there was a lot of extreme close-ups of Eo. A lot of getting his face and and I thought that because he has a very sweet face.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of gets you more like
And expressive eyes.
expressive
They
eyes,
did the
very
eyes,
sweet face,
yeah.
and it makes you feel more for him. And I thought that it also that was good. He's this, I can't remember, but the donkey is so calm that it seems to me if his calmness after seeing everything around him is either from being very innocent or being very zen, very wise.
Very zen. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
what I
one
saw.
or the other. So the movie kind of at times reminded me of 2001: Space Odyssey. Some kind of long scenes, a lot of quiet scenes. The score, which was an amazing score, had jarring moments like kind of like Quiet on the Western Front that had kind of jarring moments in the score. And then in the movie used we were discussing that earlier, but the movie uses a lot of red too, and I don't know. I wonder if it represents blood, or I can't know what he's trying to say by the red. I didn't investigate further. I guess I couldn't. So, but I would say that. So, I would say I loved and hated this movie. It's one of those movies that I wanted to see. From the time I saw that it was nominated for Best Foreign Film, and I knew what it was about. It was sort of. I said, this is a movie I feel like I need to see. You don't want to see. But I don't want to see either, because I don't want to, So, but anyways, yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, George.
It's very interesting. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. This was a movie I really wanted to see because it was this picture advertising a movie of a donkey going like that, and I said, "Oh yeah." And then I found out that it was a remake of and it's definitely a remake of a movie called Au Hasard Balthazar, which is a classic French film by a director named Robert Bresson. And I had never seen that movie. I was kind of afraid to see that movie because I really empathize with animals and hardships of animals and things like that, and of innocence, I guess is what it is. So this Jerzy Skolimowski, who's well-respected director. Offhand, I couldn't tell you the name of any of his movies. I don't think I've ever seen a Jerzy Skolimowski movie, but I'd never seen a Robert Bresson movie, and I knew that after having seen this, I had to watch Au Hasard Balthazar. And the title Au Hasard Balthazar is the name of the donkey in this. And George will tell you why this movie is called Eo.
Oh yeah, Eo. That sound makes.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I've never read it anywhere, but so clearly that's why it's called that. But anyway, and the title Au Hasard Balthazar translates to Balthazar randomly, and that's what the movie is. What this is Balthazar, Au Hasard Balthazar without the Catholicism. The movie of I see in this movie that there's no God in this movie, and Balthazar is God in Au Hasard Balthazar. He's also God's creature who accepts his place. He never questions the hardships he goes through. And interestingly enough, both movies open with the birth of the animal. And in the movie, in Au Hasard Balthazar, and I'm going to stop talking about that after this, the noise that you hear, the sound of the animal being born, and the sound almost sounds human some of the time. So there's a connection to it. This movie is a series of unconnected scenes, and they just took away the heart of what this story should be about. So I got to say, ultimately, even though I really wanted to see this movie, even though I was afraid it would break my heart, I didn't shed a tear, and it just is it's an inferior remake of a great film.
Okay, so yeah, like you, I wanted to see this movie, but I was really reluctant to see this movie. I see it as a metaphor, but I'll come back to that because I'll go to my notes. It's like
Her book. Her book of
I
notes.
feel like this was a really very special kind of film. It's a story that could only have been told visually because animals don't talk. right? So it's really told from the donkey's point of view. It's actually a piece of art, as sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
Don't be fooled into thinking this is a movie for children. It's not.
No way.
The little donkey is nothing special except it's really adorable, like all donkeys are, right? I know that people think animals in captivity and in circuses and such, it's terrible. But this little donkey's life deteriorates rapidly after he is released from that bondage.
After his freedom,
You
exactly.
know?
Freedom killed him.
I thought the film was brilliant. It really shows how terrible life can be for animals who live and work within the vicinity of humans, or have value to humans, like the foxes, or you know what I mean? I okay. I know this won't make sense, but I actually put this field with movies that really disturbed me, but were really great movies. The Killing Fields, the Schindler's List. It's like, because we are the donkeys. We are the donkeys. Your life is only valuable as a beast of burden, and then at the end of your life, you're salami.
After the end of your usefulness.
Yes.
So
To the
So
corporate.
we have no more use for it.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
So for me, this was like an amazing film. Symbolism was incredible, and the depression was because I related to myself as the donkey. You know what I mean? And we are all donkeys. So that's what I said. Okay, Patty.
I truly hated this movie. I truly hate this movie. Was about absolutely nothing, and it was like the producer and the director went, "Hey, cinematographer, why don't you take over? You take this movie." Every scene was like a picture, but it led nowhere. It told you nothing, and I think why he did it like that is so that each person would put their personal
Yes. very much
feelings in
so.
it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't want to see that kind of movie. The thing with Schindler's List, there's a story there. Killing Field, there's a story. There is no story here. And it's just so freaking boring. I couldn't wait for this movie to end. And then it did, right? And it was like, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It has nothing except whatever you want to put into it. And what I
Okay.
put into it was what I saw. Nothing.
So do you want to beat a dead mule more?
If you think this is like Homeward Bound or the story of a dog who's trying to get back to his owner, this is not that kind of movie, right? But if you like animals, don't watch it. I was just saying, it was like the cinematographer had his way with it, and there were some beautiful shots, but the whole movie is beautiful shots with no
I
story.
didn't even think they were beautiful shots. I thought they were like, the shots were basically like filled up with this beauty filled up with the like kind of technology of people. You know what I mean? It was
See,
like,
that's what I mean. Everybody
it
puts
wasn't-
their thing into it. I didn't see any of that, right? I don't think it's brilliant. I think it was absolutely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I can't even believe it was up for an Academy
no
Award.
superheroes.
Huh?
No superheroes.
No, that's not true.
There wasn't Captain EO.
No, you know what? I like
It
other
wasn't
movies
Overstar
too.
Balthazar.
You know what? Now, you see, what you had said was true. It's like there's nothing to grasp onto except what you want to make out of it. And of course, nobody's going to sit in a movie and go, God, that's crap. It means nothing. So everybody has to put their
Interpretation of
Right.
interpretation. That could be true, could not be true. You never know.
Like modern art.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, we can have a subject talking about that. So yes, I hated it. Lauren?
Well, it's sort of interesting because it's a movie that I thought, oh, it got nominated, so I want to see it. Then I saw the trailer, and it's like, I don't want to watch this movie. So I was sort of torn, but then George said, okay. And I was like, One thing about it, Patty, I will say this: it was 88 minutes, and so I said,
No
you know
way.
what? That is good. That's
I
a good
thought
sign.
it was like 3 hours.
Oh, yeah, it was a short.
I thought
No.
one more sunset.
It was just sort of a short movie. I said, okay, that's not too bad. So I started
No
watching
way,
it.
88 minutes.
And it was like, I was sort of fascinated by it. I was talking to Bob earlier because I said, this reminded me of our Tarkovsky movie, who is a Russian director who does sort of the same thing. Because you're right, it's a Zen experience. It really is existential. You're just watching life unfold in front of you. You're no comments, nothing.
Who the hell wants to see
Nothing
that?
seems to be
Film critics.
Connected.
well, nothing seems to be explained at all. So I think, Patty, you're exactly right. What we read into it is what we're going to get out of the movie. But what I was astounded by with like Tarkovsky movies is the imagery was so fascinating to
But
me.
it was all the time.
Well, no, it wasn't all the time. That's why I said it kept changing. See, that's why the imagery kept changing. But there were scenes that I kept thinking, oh, that's a neat shot. Like there's a sequence in which they're in a junkyard where you have this perspective of this big claw taken to the, and I was fascinated by that. It's like, oh, I've never seen that before. And that's what I kept saying when I watched this movie. There's a sequence in which he's watched, I don't know I'm assuming it's him on the bridge watching the water, where you just see the water foaming and going down. And to me, it's like,
mean
oh
that
my
scene?
God. No, not this one. It's when you look at the water and
Right,
it
right,
actually
yeah,
looks like smoke. That the foam, the way, and I kept thinking, see, this is such a cinematic experience that I'm sort of really amazed by because these scenes are just fascinating to me, which really drawed me in. Now, the problem I think it has is you're correct. There is no story. It has nothing about going home or this. It has to do with all these things. In fact, if I told you the story, it's like, okay, Donkey has a girl. Donkey loses the girl. Donkey tries to find the girl again. Donkey goes to a bar, leaves the bar in time for a fight, but then gets beaten up. And then Donkey sort of wanders off again and gets better. And then he dies. I mean, I don't know what to say about this
Spoiler.
movie. Yeah.
Off
the-
screen.
Well, the thing is, no, but the thing is, everything's so surreal. I don't know exactly what I'm watching. See, and that's what confused me. That was the only problem. Because even at the end, I said, okay, wait, and what am I seeing at the end? Is he going to
Death.
die?
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
He's going to be
understand it.
salami.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then I don't understand what's going on. Yet, I'm still sort of fascinated. The strange part was when the human characters show up, because that's when some of the weird drama
'Cause
comes
they're
up.
so
And it's
awful.
like, what is the point? Because at one point, Isabelle Huppert shows up,
Yeah,
who
why
I
is she
love
in
her.
there?
I love this actress. Like, okay, this is going to be interesting. It's like,
No, it's not.
now it's like, I don't understand what the point of that was. Literally, I don't.
To get a name in.
Because
Well,
you're getting it
that's
from
the
to me, you're getting it from the donkey's point of view.
But that's the thing. The donkey's not privy to that. He's outside eating grass. That's what I'm saying. So what does this have to do with? And see, that's the point where I thought, see, that's what they're missing, because it was like my lover, my donkey, and I. The reason I get emotionally attached to the donkey is because you're reflected off the actress who's playing against him. That's where you're getting all the emotional response.
Right.
Here you're getting snippets of it because there are scenes where it's like, oh no, don't do that to the donkey. Don't do that to the donkey. And then the donkey does things like, oh, I can see why the donkey did that in EO. And so all I can say is, I think you're right, Patty, that everyone who watches this movie, you're going to make your own decision about what you think this movie means or the effectiveness of the movie. Because I just thought it was so visually stunning. And I mean that. There are so many excellent, wonderful pieces of art that you see that just drawed me in. The problem I had is I really thought there's going to be sort of a road story. Like you said, I bet you that Balthazar has an actual sort of linear story with the donkey, where this doesn't. It's just wandering, doing this and that, and no characters, except for one thing is what I call his girlfriend, Cassandra, like you said.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, I understand why she's attached to the donkey. I get that immediately. And then, like I said, goes to visit him. And then he obviously gets upset when she leaves. And it's sort of sad. I mean, that's the only emotional response. But at that point, because he's still connected to a human at one point, and you really do see how much she cares, not just in that sequence where she goes to visit him, but there are several sequences that you see how attached she is to this donkey. But I thought,
But she leaves them.
well,
I
she-
thought, why bother coming back when you're just going to leave?
well,
I mean, I thought
because
that was
because I
cool.
think
It's an
that's the whole
important point
point
of it.
about
But
that's
remember,
what
it's-
life is.
But
You know,
it's
that's
from the
exactly right.
donkey's point of view. It's not from her point of view.
Exactly. And it's like it's like it's sort of like when if you guys can't handle a dog, but the kids like the dog. It's like, or send it to a farm. So
Oh.
you let the kids go visit a dog on the farm. So they get to see, the dog's having a good life. So you feel satisfied. Yeah. For the
dog's
kids, it's
going out
okay.
living on a fucking farm.
But the
Right.
dog, is he happy? You don't know
No.
from his perspective.
Right.
So you're seeing it from Eo's perspective, which is why, like George says, they visit and he says, oh no, I have to follow her, because that's the one weird thing about the donkey is you do get to see sort of things that he gets involved in, and that you understand what he gets involved in and why he's treated a certain way. Again, it's not the donkey's fault, though. It literally is just like you said at the beginning. The circus has to close. It's cruelty to animals. And yet, if he stayed in the circus, Alicia would have
Be
had a
alive.
woman who loved him in a way, right?
Yeah,
And really
that's
cared
right.
after him. He would get mistreated by other people.
I just saw
but
it in my own life. With I really at Griffin Park they have the donkey rides. The little
they
donkey
look
rides.
so lifeless.
I know.
But
and
I'm
sad,
just
yeah.
saying that. What do you think happened to those donkeys?
They
That-
actually-
and
they
what do you
actually
think
put them
happened to
somewhere.
those horses? Like where?
Oh, there was a committee making sure that they got put somewhere.
I'm sure
Like,
that feels better.
to actually retire.
Yeah,
or like
no,
retire, like
no,
they don't have
yeah.
to do any of that.
Yeah,
Please.
the old donkey's home in Salt.
Please.
Yeah.
Please, Patty.
No,
That's nice.
But I so agree with you, because see, that's what you almost expect, and that's why, like, even like when the movies like Black Beauty, another kind of the
Oh, yeah,
animal
that's a rough
perfect-
one.
But like I said, there's always a sadness when you watch a movie from an animal's perspective,
Yes,
because
but-
it is going to show you the entire life.
But
Yeah.
generally, it shows you from the people's perspective
Exactly.
with the
Also, this
connection.
movie,
Right.
also
But this
the,
did not have that. That was
No.
one of the connections.
but also,
But it showed you from the donkey. But that's why I thought it was so brilliant.
Get
Whoever
out,
takes
George.
on a donkey position.
Mhm.
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
also, the movie's almost like short stories too, because
Yes.
the donkey goes to different scenarios, and even though those stories are very short, like the stepson and the stepmother,
Which again, yeah, I don't understand
but
that.
but
part,
but
yeah.
they're short, but there's so much to those stories that it keeps you wonder what this. It's almost like they're big stories.
Tantalizing.
Well,
Like the-
that's what I was wondering, if the story has to do with love.
No, but yeah, and also the truck driver.
Yes.
So, I mean,
no, exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
this he only missed this runs into these characters for so short amount of time, but you can see that there's so much more to their story. So it's almost like in a very short amount of time you get to see, almost feel like there's more to this. There's a
Well,
lot
right.
of there's a lot of wild tales going on over
That's
here.
what Tarkovsky always
Well,
did. He never quite explained
Mm.
things. Leading
I
up,
think with this,
you know?
the whole situation with like as you're talking about like the bus driver and all that
Mhm.
stuff, is it does show that there are people who can become attached to this character, to this creature, but it's temporary. They're going, it's like, oh, he's nice having you here, but now I've got something else I have to do that's more important.
Mhm. Well, when it comes to the truck driver, he wasn't even emotionally attached
Yeah.
to the donkey.
Yeah.
He just happened to have. In fact, he didn't even want to take the donkey.
I think he just
That was the funny part. It's like, oh no, that's not on the
Yeah.
agenda. But
right.
like George had said, what I thought was fascinating is
And
like,
as
for
Susie said,
example,
it's from his point of view.
no, but like George was saying about the red. See, that's I talked to George about that too, because I said I noticed that when there seems to be quote unquote almost a surreal or dream sequence, is this from the donkey's perspective, as you're saying, right? Which I sort of believe. So when you see red, I really think that's you're in the donkey's brain at this point, really seeing a dream or whatever of how the donkey's perceiving something. Because there's a sequence at one point that I really liked. It had to do in the red with seeing a mechanical kind of, I don't know what you call those things, but they're basically used as transports. But do you remember that, the little robot
like a little four-legged thing.
Yes,
Yeah, a
exactly.
little robot. going
that
ahead.
gets knocked down and tries
a
to
little
get up
droid.
and
Oh
everything?
yeah.
That kind of. So that's why I said I think George was right, because when he looks at certain things, it turns red, and I said, "Oh, that's a dream." And like, but there are things like when he's seeing the horses at the beginning, where
Mhm.
like I said before, the trophy gets knocked over and stuff. It's like, okay, is he seeing this like he would like to be a horse because they see the two horses confronting and having this? Or, like you said, does he want to get away? Obviously, he wants to get away because
Right.
he feels
Well,
uncomfortable.
this stuff you're
Yeah.
talking about, it never
Mhm.
occurred to me that it's from the donkey's point of view, and I think it's a very valid interpretation of it. But
Oh, yeah.
couldn't they spell it out a little more?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they're
like-
dealing with.
But that's like saying
there's no
no,
dialogue. There's a
because-
donkey,
But
and
you
it's
see a
like
lot of-
But
red
see
on the
that
screen.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. He doesn't want to put the human element in, like Susie's saying. He wants that donkey element. So I agree that what Susie is saying is correct, and then what Patty's saying, it's like what you get out of it is
what you
what-
think it
yeah,
is.
exactly.
And then like
yeah.
the whole
So you can make
situation.
it as deep and
But you see-
shallow as you
But in
like.
the whole situation, we see those two horses, like I don't know, they're like show horses. They're really interesting. They
No,
look-
exactly.
They
Right.
look like seahorses, actually. To me, they're so big and tall, and they go
Right.
at each other. But which might show that it's from the donkey's perspective because he just keeps looking at them. He's so calm. He just kept looking at them and looking like, "What's up with this dude?"
Right.
And he's like, "I'm out of here." So
And see,
But-
that's what I was wondering
but
because that
remem-
was a great example of that. Is when you look at the donkey, and seeing the horse trot
you're seeing
around.
his reaction. to
He's
what's
like
going on
staring
around.
at the horse. I said, "Does he want to be a horse?" You know, I'm trying to really
Maybe
think
he's
about
just
that.
looking
right?
at the
Remember,
horse.
the donkey is even a servant to the horses.
Yeah,
The,
Oh, I never even thought about that.
The
No.
donkey is the lowest man on the.
he's carrying their food in the cart.
He's carrying their food in
Yeah.
a cart.
Yeah.
He is the lowest man on the totem pole,
Mhm.
and that's why I see it as very classist. It's like,
Ah,
do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, right.
he-
Although
and your
realistic.
life
It could be about
is-
anything, Lauren,
and your
who
life
knows?
is meaningless.
It's what- you
Your
can
life
say anything.
Right.
It's
it
part of
is,
it.
it's not that it's valueless to you. I don't think the donkey's life is valueless to him, but I think he's totally fine with his life,
Mhm.
right? But it's valueless to others.
But yes. I
Now
agree.
that's Ohasard Balthazar.
Yeah. See,
No, I-
that would
Or
make
so-
sense if it
I
and
will
a
say
story.
this: I did love the sequence in which he has, for some unknown reason, a garland of carrots around his neck. That
Yeah,
was
that
my
was-
favorite
I
scene.
thought, well,
Yeah,
that's considerate.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now they
Right.
don't have to worry about him
In
starving.
fact, I had to I had to rewind it. I said, "Wait, is this a dream sequence? And was it real?" Because I didn't know if this is from like the donkey's mind
Yeah, I
again.
love that.
it was like a political thing where they're opening some new thing.
Well, you
and
guys
it's
See,
You're
and
putting a
again,
lot of
I
depth
that's
in
what I
this.
mean. I didn't even understand what
Yeah.
they were opening, the
Uh-huh,
kind of
right.
factory, or what
Right.
the donkey, why the donkey was there. So
He was
Okay.
there to carry
let's
something.
score. Let's
so
score.
that would be
Postpone.
your movie, right?
yeah. So you. No,
Oh,
so-
that's me.
Yeah.
10.
Well,
1.
I gave this a 5.
Oh my God, I'm less than you.
Well, I'll give it a 10.
Okay.
So we'll be back.
Okay, now.
So that's a wrap. Thank you for watching this episode of What the Flicks podcast. I hope you'll check out some of the movies we suggested because a lot of them are really good and we would love to hear your comments. Remember to subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. So until next time, adios.